really come together. I mean, we're definitely a bit behind the rest of the country, but we're really stepping on the gas right now. I mean, we have a great pipeline of companies. We have about 30 companies that have raised $10 million or more in the last year, from top-tier venture capitalists, from local, but also from Silicon Valley and elsewhere around the country. We had, a couple of public offerings. We're hoping to have some more, and then behind that, we have a bunch of early-stage startups. Hundreds of them literally starting each day. So there's really been I would say, an explosion in the startup scene in Chicago, and we think we're as good as any place in the country to build startups.
Yeah, I'd say in the past couple of years, especially the past 18 months, the scene here has exploded. There's tons of support financially, but also just online resources like Build in Chicago, which is basically our Facebook for Chicago entrepreneurship. Then there's resources here like 1871, 50,000 square foot space here in Chicago, downtown Chicago, that's dedicated to digital startups. So there's tons of resources, both physical, online, financial, creative, and people are just willing to help out here. We can get access to the co-founder of Accelerate Labs, which is one of the best accelerators in the world in this space. So there's tons of great resources here, and people are willing to help out and help each other. So there's no competition in the way of, oh, I can't talk to you, or, oh, I'm not going to give you this amount of information. They're willing to share their stories so people can have a better chance of succeeding.
It is quickly growing. I think people underestimate Chicago as being a hub for digital technology companies. Last year alone in 2011, we had 193 digital companies launch. We also had 77 companies raise a collective $1.45 billion in funding. So it's not a small community, to say the least. It's an incredibly welcoming community. We constantly get approached by people who are coming in from the coasts, both coasts, and other cities, who want to kind of get involved in this community and move to Chicago. And it takes one email to a few people in the community because we're that close knit, and everyone's always happy to welcome people in who are entrepreneurs, new entrepreneurs, serial entrepreneurs, whatever the case may be, to this community. So it's an incredibly welcoming community, and we're pretty close because it isn't as large as other cities. So.
The support network in Chicago for startups is really fantastic. There's a lot of new incubators that are springing up. Big businesses, big tech businesses like Google are moving into the city, into the heart of the city. Places like the Merchandise Mart are becoming hubs of entrepreneurs, of creatives, of artists, digital advertising agencies, and people that you can tap into. And Chicago is really the hub of the Midwest. A lot of folks that want to build their own businesses from around this region of the country, they come here because it's a central location. You can travel to pretty much anywhere in the world from O'Hare, and it's just we saw kind of what the Obama team was able to do with technology, and all those guys are from Chicago. I think that the city is emerging as a global leader in the technology space, and there's just so much intelligence to be shared here.
By way of resources, you've got a few publications that support startups. Technori is one of them. Built in Chicago is another one of them. They also do some great events. Tech Week is a tech conference based out of Chicago. It's probably about 3 years old now. 1871 is one of the biggest co-working spaces for startups. They also have, I believe, incubators and accelerators within the 1871 compound, if you will. And I think the emergence of places like that, including smaller co-working spaces like Catapult, Co-op, there's Tech Nexus, so there's several others, but you start to see these bigger ones pop up, both on the content and events side as well as the co-working physical space side, and that just helps spur the growth.
It's evolved a lot over the last couple of years. I think what it is today versus what it was 5 years ago is a significant change. You see a lot of younger people who are getting into it, which is good and bad. So they've got great ideas, but they're not. They don't have much experience, and so to one degree, they're kind of not bogged down by practices from working in a large corporation, and they know how to get nimble and think dynamically to ensure their model is successful.
I would say the software development industry is growing extremely rapidly here in Chicago. Everyone's looking for developers, whether they're Ruby on Rails or PHP guys. Every company is hiring, literally. I don't know one company who's not looking for a programmer here. So bring some over from Australia, please.
I think another big thing is innovation and design. Has been a big thing. I feel like a lot of the design and the approach and everything in Silicon Valley and everything else is so very similar. I feel like it's a different kind of approach here as far as the designers, as far as experiences and
user experience. Yeah, the user experience. There's awesome. A lot of really good user experience shops here in Chicago. There's designers and psychologists that work there to help users through the certain funnels and stuff like that. So
I think that initial lack of the whole VC community here in Chicago has, like we spoke of, helped people become a lot more creative with just different things, where you're not necessarily focusing so much on top line growth and everything, or trying to perform for a firm that's behind you. You're kind of just constantly focusing on building a business, which is a much different thing here in the city of Chicago. I feel like there's a lot more businesses with the business mindset of building something sustainable and something real.
Really generate a profit rather than the fluff of telling the press or telling your investors that you have 1 million emails when realistically only 0.1% of them have transacted on your site. Anybody can buy emails.
Oh, I wish I knew exactly, but I think it's on a great trajectory. We're helping fuel entrepreneurship and more designers and developers getting out there. 1871 is doing that. More companies are successfully adding employees and getting more customers and solving problems. So hopefully the trajectory keeps going in the same way, and we can create more awesome companies here.
I think we just got to execute. We've got all the pieces in place. We've got all the resources. We've got the support of all the organizations and the public sector and the private sector that we need. We need to attract more talent. I think that's going to be a big thing. Technical talent specifically out of our universities. We need to attract more investment and support from the corporate community. So finding ways to partner the startups with the corporations. We have a lot of great corporations in Chicago like Walgreens and Motorola, right, and Northern Trust, and a lot of big brands and craft that can help out the startups. So we got to find ways to do that. But really, it's executing on the plan right now.
It's very hard to say. This city in particular, as well as a number of other cities I've been to in the U.S., the startup culture just changes so rapidly. It's different now than it was 8 months ago, and there's something to do every single minute of the week. There's multiple things to do, so there's never a lack of something to do. So it's very hard to predict, where will it be in 3 to 5 years. I think there will probably be a heavier VC and angel presence here. I think that we'll see startups grow and flourish and continue to do that in greater volume. It's my hope that in the process of growing and scaling, and I think also conferences have a great deal to do with that. In Austin they have South by Southwest. I think that's added greatly to putting Austin on the map as a startup culture, one of the top 10 startup cultures in the country. So I think the infusion of events and content coming out of Chicago surrounding the support of entrepreneurship, as well as the growth of startups here in the city, will continue to happen. But it's my hope that as we do that, we continue to focus on the culture of collaboration, because that's really what distinguishes Chicago from so many other startup cultures around the country.
So one thing that would be great if happened in Chicago, or could be improved on, I guess, is the networks of design development talent. So this is Chicago, it's a major city. There's a lot of designers here, there's a lot of developers here, there's a lot of tech talent. There's a lot of tech talent here, but I don't think they really know about what's going on in Chicago yet. So we like to throw events, we like to throw startup weekends that kind of like embrace that and introduces people who have that background to others, and it just kind of shows like this is what's going on in a startup community, and here are different ways that you can stay involved in a startup community. When the community kind of gets broken down, if you look at the Chicago community, when its core elements, it's kind of spread out in 2 areas. There's River North, which is where we are right now, And then there's the West Loop, which has all different, an entirely different startup scene of its own. There's a lot of more creatives that are out in the West Loop area. There's a lot of more of like the designers, a lot of more of like the independent developers, which myself as a community guy, I would love to see a meeting place in between the River North where a lot of the business-minded people, the strategic people, the marketers, your project managers, whatever it may be, I'd like to see them kind of like coincide in an area with your designers, your developers. So it's kind of like there's two different communities within one community. And I think what is an important piece of growing like a robust community is piecing those two together.
I'd like to see Chicago's startup community expand. Right now it's very hyper-focused in certain pockets of the city. And I'd like to see people building their businesses or thinking that they should set up their offices in spaces like this, all over the city, whether it's downtown, whether it's in the suburbs, whether it's in other small neighborhoods. There's this growing kind of feeling of you have to be in a certain part of Chicago to be kind of one of those startups that gets noticed. And it's not true. The city is huge and it needs to be taken advantage of. And I think that splitting up our distributing a little bit over the city will be really fantastic.
Let's put it, the cost of living is great. So if you're living on ramen noodles, you can do that in Chicago. So if you're a startup, I know the coast can get very expensive for a lot of startup entrepreneurs, and it's just not really conducive. Here you can really live on ramen noodles and find cheap rent and find other people to live with. People are really friendly. There isn't a person who doesn't walk down the street and say hi to you if you smile at them. People are welcoming. There's an incredible community even around the new, younger entrepreneurs where they've all sort of found each other and they can hang out both socially, and so work becomes life and work becomes social, and they all get blended together. So the lifestyle here is incredible. You have incredible sports teams, of course, if that's your thing. You've got incredible restaurants. We're very much a foodie town, so we joke that the techies are very food-oriented. So we've got great food. You've got the beach in the summer. You've got, we kind of all huddle in the winter because it gets a little bit cold.
First of all, like George said earlier, Chicago has the Midwest mentality. You walk down the street, people smile at you, they say hi. If they can help you, they will. So that's really important for entrepreneurs. A lot of times in other cities, you can't get anyone to even look at you, let alone help you or help you carry your groceries or whatever the case may be for for a family.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely the biggest thing that is really different about here in Chicago is people's willingness to help you out and this whole Midwest mentality. I mean, it's something that you hear from other people and from different cities that talk about Chicago and the Midwest in general and the mentality and people's willingness to help you out and kind of do what they can to help you excel.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for watching the Leeap project. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Now remember, if you would like to see any more information or extra bonus footage that we shot during the trip, hop onto our website. And I'll catch you next week when we head to Washington, DC to see what their startup scene looks like.